Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting. Today, I'm going to talk about the lap of creation, and what that entails and how direct that is. The lap of creation, or the lap of source, abiding in the lap of source, or you can also call it abiding in your true being, or the divine cave of the heart. These are all mystical terms that different traditions use, especially Kabir's tradition. Kabir, the saint, poet, teacher. So, as we know, we do live in Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga is a yuga, or a time period, where we are the farthest from, seemingly the farthest from the lap of creation, or the lap of source. Because when we look outside, the world had sped up. What rules is the mind manifested outside of yourself. This is a time of deep unrest, inside and outside. And also, I would call it a time for the souls who actually sign up to come here. It's a time of awakening, of realizing what is truly the essence. Because the more you look around you, outside of you, it makes less and less sense. You can't truly lull yourself into believing that it's meaningful. Running after money, shiny things, craving different things, because there is an endless array of things that you can acquire, material things. And there's a constant whirling of entertainment in front of our eyes. And the mind loves to be entertained. The mind likes to be drawn outward through the senses, because the mind uses the senses. Clutch onto sense objects. And I'm going to point out something essential today, which is the essential direction of our work. So many times I noted, when the mind is being drawn outward through the senses, which happens very easily, then what happens is the energy from source goes through your body and it's flowing downward. That's called apana. It's like a down moving energy, down and out, so that you're engaging with the world. And there's not much sense in you of much more than I am the body, I am this mind, I have this job, I have this personality, and I have these roles. Yeah, I'm a employer, employee, mother, father, cousin, brother, sister, wife, husband, and not much more than that. And slowly our work is to bring that energy and actually reverse its direction from up moving down and out. We start actually ascertaining our own field by becoming more conscious of the energy that we are. So infusing this body avatar, and it's many layered bodies. There's 5 with consciousness, and you start drawing up this current, drawing it up literally through the vessel, upward and out through your head. So that is the pranic lifting up. And you can actually detect your level of advancement as you tune in what chakra have you already brought up this current, because this is also a type of lens through which you're going to be viewing or experiencing your life. So a lot of our exercises, the kriyas, the internal kriyas, what we do is we start drawing this energy up the vessel instead of letting it drop down and out. So very simple to remember when it goes from, because we're fed by source all the time. Your body can only exist because you are being sustained by the light and sound current of source itself. But it's not all the same what capacities you've awakened in this body, because once you make this body conscious, well, the body itself is an intelligence on its own. But as you are making and polishing the very many layers of consciousness, that's when you understand that there is a much wider bandwidth through which you can exist. And when you start pulling this force upward, that's also when you feel that there is more and more of your own soul being embodied in this vessel. It's very important. Because once you live from that direct embodiment of the light of the soul, that's, and to various degrees, but that's where you have your inner teacher, the Antaryamin or Antarguru. That's where you have the discernment and the guidance that is not constantly letting you get lost in the sense perceptions of this seeming reality. Yes, it's a very relative reality here, out here. Yes. And going from the relative to the supreme reality, there are steps, there are stages, and it depends also on the readiness of the soul. And there's so many ways to address this ascension, ascending. You see, ascending through the body, through the consciousness, through the ladders of consciousness. There's many stages. But essentially, No system, no yogic system even, can directly lead you there. Because the final stages are really in the hands of the Supreme, of the divine. The polishing, the final dissolution is not in the hands of the sadhaka, of the spiritual seeker. And that's actually a wonderful journey because ultimately nothing is in your hands. And all you can do, the more you can realize that, the earlier you can realize that, you're automatically catapulted in this beingness in the lap of creation. So, of course, for the mind, it is a destination in terms of the mind. But in terms of, from the eyes of ultimate reality, it's not a path. There is no path because there is only that one truth. All we can do is, when I reference the lifting up of the pranic intelligence through also polishing your kundalini, when you lift it up, you're opening your capacity to live as the divine, through the divine, by the divine, supreme consciousness. It is so direct. There's no movement from A to B. All there is a revealing, an unveiling, and a revealing, a remembering. And you can use every single yuga or time period. You can use whatever characteristic that time is presenting us with. We can use it so that we can progress, and we do not waste this lifetime for another sense gratification and chasing shadows. And of course, we're using also the relative world, the relative reality, which is, you call your life or you call the world. You use it as a catalyst for your evolution. So you're not negating this world. You're not negating that you have chores, you have a work, you just have to be a very real human being doing whatever you need to do. But at the same time, you're also using the world as a teacher, as a guide, to deepen into the reality of your being. And so, yes, we are practicing these spiritual practices that are all about washing all of the untruth away. That's one thing. Second is living by the yama and niyama, the prescribed purity and adherence to sattvic life or purity of being. And that is also noted in some of it in the commandments of not lying, not cheating, sloth, and there are many. What are they? The cardinal sins: avarice, sloth. There's Many of them I can't remember, but it is actually pointing to the so-called weaknesses of the limited ego, of the personal self. So you also have to use that which you came in, all of your so-called weaknesses, as these ways of realizing how to transcend, how to step beyond these lessons that you came here to resolve, karmic lessons. And now we're going to do this practice, the leap of source, leaping into source. Leaping into the center of your mystical heart. And I'm going to ask you to pay attention. If you start detecting a light in your pranic channel, which is the central channel, that means that the central channel called Sushumna Nadi started to be activated. And when you see a light, whether it's in your third eye or anywhere else in the or you have a vision or a sight of your pranic channel as clear light without imagining it, it means that your pranic force had started to rise and it doesn't fall back anymore. Because what it can do, it rises and then it falls back. So what we do, as I say, it's being a gym. This is a gym of where we practice that and attain a stamina so that the light keeps still and it's risen and it's just connecting you to the divine sound and light current. That is what we're practicing. And when it happened, you don't have to imagine the light. It's always there. It's always sustaining you. So very important. Okay. Abiding in the lap of creation. So move to the back body and start having a full body consciousness. Full body consciousness. You connect to your higher self. I am presence. Mother, Father, God, and then the pure, supreme creation fields of Satpurush beyond the Brahms, Loka, beyond the Trimurti, and know that you have a direct access point. This vessel is a divine vessel. And when you awaken the supreme intelligence, That is when you become a real human being. Tune into your pranic channel. It is the spine, back body. Know that in the Kali Yuga, when everything seems to be believing in the mirage, the Maya, Maya is playing us. Maya has this beautiful force of playing with your energies, creating all kinds of subjective realities. And her play is very strong. And all you can do is start playing with creation as if you were her, the divine goddess, creating the eternal divine lila play. And the play is here so that creation can continue, unfold. And the light can fractalize and move back to totality. And fractalize and move back to totality. And that is the pulsation. That is the pulsation of your breath. I did not know why the creation is happening. It's happening maybe just on its own accord for no purpose, or it's happening for that which is undivided, to have a sense of itself through division. Feel the intensity of your spinal column, the pranic channel. And as you feel the intensity, also train to feel your entire body. Because ultimately, your entire body becomes a power object, animated by the pure sound and light current of the supreme divine reality. These are not mighty, lofty words. And notice that once you train to truly embody the light of your soul, through removing all of the karmic blocks called grantis. There is a Vishnu Granti, Brahma Granti, and Shiva Granti. This is what's locking you into this system of Ka, this particular universe. And what are some of the ways to break away, break through these karmic blocks? Strengthen your pranic channel. That is one of your ultimate divine tools. Feel how this pranic channel is this pure crystalline golden fire burning in your spine. It is the light of consciousness. Babaji calls it the lightless light. But do you get it? That is the yogic science. When I said, lift up the Kundalini Shakti, the divine fire of your cosmic intelligence through the centers, and you will detect an internal, ever sustained light column, which is a lightless light. It is a paradox because it is not seen through your naked eye. It's seen through the internal drishti, which is the internal focus. And I assure you, once this fire starts establishing itself, the lightless light fire, the drishti, the focus, will never be on anything other than that. Can you now train the internal drishti of this immense current? The heart connected upwards, and the heart connected downwards into this unified vertical axis. Do you know that the crucifix is not just a random symbol of Christianity? It is signifying the unification of the vertical axis of all the planes Once that is established, once the heart is activated to pull you up to its own house abode, pull you up home, automatically what keeps happening is that you start establishing the horizontal axis of the crucifix. You start being the generator, the power object that is exuding divine love from the center of their divine cave, the heart, where the two axes meet. Do you know that Yeshua or Jesus' soul yantra is the crucifix? The activation of the lightless light, of pure, innocent, being as love, compassion, the power of transmutation, transcendence. And then this is all done through the horizontal plane of translating this higher frequency, not just higher, but divine frequency into the world through service. That is your God-given ability to activate the axis vertical, as I described it, through the lifting of your current of cosmic intelligence. And as the current rises, it will start polishing the fire, will start burning up all of the impurities, all of the overlays that have sedimented and obstructed your vision of the lightless light. And once that truly happens, you willingly plunge into the fire all of the dualities, all of your mistaken notions of separateness. You just plunge into this fire of the eternal light. And the divine cave opens. And you rest. In the lap of supreme reality. And you laugh. You laugh because you realize all of this was a divine joke. All of this play of sorrow and joy, love and hate, fear and love, all of this was the play of the divine Lila. You signed up to play. This transmission is lifting up the fire. Because ask, and it is given. Have the internal drishti, internal focus. You can move your eyeballs towards the center of your head and curl your tongue backwards. And literally feel that your spine became this immensely powerful light. The vertical plane traversing all of the layers of divine emanation. It is plugged into all of the layers. And ultimately it merges with Source, the supreme divine realm, where there's no Trinity, there's no vision. Allow your hearts to be activated. And the heart is what sustains the divine light and sound current. As you lift it up, your consciousness through all of these energy centers. You open the center of your head, the third eye center. And you will notice there's a streak of light moving from the center of your head upwards, where the supreme connection has finally been established, because that is not your free will. You can use your free will to burst through your karmic blocks, to raise the light to the third eye. And then it's God's grace, divine benediction, that finalizes that last step. Look upwards towards that light, center of your head. Lift your tongue up to the upper palate. And you can do that for yourself, that as you do that, as you look upwards, use your spirit power, the power of love in action. And start lifting all that might you have, the power of your divine being. You're lifting it up from your tailbone, from your sacral center, up through your solar plexus, burning through the pathway, up your heart, up your throat, lifting it up past your head. And you look upwards as if you bow down. You bow down to the lotus feet of Supreme Divine Self. And this is where you allow, to surrender. To the higher will. You can feel that your entire body became shimmering golden light. You look upwards. The power rises up. And when this happens, the vertical axis, sorry, the horizontal axis that's running from your heart outwards, you literally feel that your heart is pouring in all the love, all the healing love, the transmuting, healing love into your subjective reality, into people, places, situations. Because the axis is now fully established, and you became the will of God, serving through emanating love into this realm. This was Yeshua's task for us to realize. Whether it be Yeshua, Krishna, Babaji, Kabir, Shiva, they actually have different roles to tune us to merge with the ultimate reality. And also, their role is to make you become the ultimate reality. Where there is no separation, there is no gradation. This is the start of mature spirituality. Establishing the crucifix, the merging of the vertical and horizontal plane. May we all realize being in the lap of the divine. Supreme being.